Hi.
Hi.
It's Unnecessary Roughness.
We're here. Brandon, Kayce, Katie, and Jack.
Oh, that was good.
Make sure you like, subscribe, comment, share. If you disagree with our takes, comment on that. Set your alerts when you know that our new videos are coming out.
Maybe say something really hurtful about us. We don't
No,
read
I
it.
don't. No. Be nice, please. Brandon's feelings get hurt easily.
Kayce?
That was Katie.
Same thing. You ready?
I guess so. But I also don't know where your mood is. You've already yelled at me multiple times today.
I yelled at you because you were being dumb.
No, I wasn't.
Yes, you were.
Whoa.
Now, I will say,
Well, I didn't mean it like that.
the lowering the bar experience this week has sent everybody into orbit, and I do feel like I'm on drugs.
At some point, I offended Vibs, and he never asked me to do lowering the bar anymore, and I like it.
I got a tattoo for them, and I haven't been back.
There was a great
We're doing round 2 of that, by the way.
there was a great tidbit on the dozen last night. The experts last week, or when you last played, lowest score in the history of the dozen.
Our lowest score, but not the lowest.
Ever.
No, that's not
No.
true.
Ever.
It's
Lower
very
than-
much not true.
Oh, Jeff D-Lo said it.
Well, he
What
meant
was your score?
He meant our lowest score.
No, he said lowest in the
Jack,
history.
I'm not an idiot. I played many times. I
What
saw
was your score?
the Yankee boys got 2 points once. We had 5. It was our lowest score. It wasn't the lowest in history.
2 out of 20.
Meaning of us getting our own.
Yeah,
You got-
maybe that's what it was.
Maybe that's what it was.
You got 2 points.
He said
But no, we don't get
it
20
was
anyway.
the worst performance in the history of the dozen.
It was not the
Oh,
worst
no,
performance in the
I'll
history of
tell
the
you.
dozen.
No,
Our-
it beat
our
yours.
performance
It beat yours.
Live was
No,
the
it
worst.
beat yours.
It did not, Jack. We scored 5 points.
I'm just letting you know. I'm gonna cut it out of the dozen tonight, and I'll send you the timestamps, and I'll put it on our social.
Why would you put it on our social? This is the dozen thing.
Because you're saying I'm wrong, but I'm not.
You are wrong. This is
Then
not.
Jeff D-Lo's wrong. The commissioner's
This
wrong.
is what people get mad at us about on Tuesdays.
Hold on. You think I don't have a connect with Jeff D-Lo?
Jeff D-Lo's doing lowering the bar right now. He's not well. He's unwell. He was crying when I
He's
walked by.
fine.
He's fine.
He's fine.
I'd rather do that than
That
a
being said,
tattoo
you
than
guys
edit
did
out
win
of the
6
episode.
straight games, and
We played 100 times.
I'm not saying there was anything wrong with.
You're calling me out. You're lying about me.
No, Jeff D-Lo said it. It's on record. It's going to be in the show.
I don't know if I want to be here.
Oh, no.
Oh, come on.
So you're wondering about my mood?
You were acting. You were saying crazy stuff.
What do you mean?
You were acting like I was questioning you for going out. I was just worried about the quality of the show later.
You acted like I was going to Marquee.
I had no attitude whatsoever. I was just talking.
Me too.
I was just talking in a regular
May I
tone.
say something nice before we start the podcast?
I'd rather you didn't. I kind of like the energy in here right now.
Okay, then I won't.
Well, what were you gonna say nice?
I was going to say thank you guys for picking up my slack on Saturday.
Oh yes, of
Yeah,
course.
and during one of the ads, Brandon goes, "Oh, Jack, you work really hard on Saturday." And then I said, "Yeah, the whole Unnecessary Roughness crew works hard on Saturday." Someone interpreted that as me taking a shot at you. It was not. I want that
no,
on the
I don't.
record.
Yeah.
It was a Black Rifle coffee ad, and then they were like, "Oh, you were making fun of Kayce." I was not.
No,
I want that
I
on
don't.
the record.
First of all, I didn't even know that. Second of all, I know.
They tweeted at us.
I wasn't on social media all weekend, but
That's good. I just wanted that on record.
Jack,
So
read the text.
hopefully-
Read the text I just sent you.
Oh, no.
oh no.
Read the text.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nothing.
Nothing.
It's not a big deal.
Should we start the podcast?
We did the ads. At the
We're
end of the
doing
show.
the ads. What? Do you want to read the text?
Yeah.
Okay. I just told him that was a funny shot he took at Kayce Saturday.
I was asleep.
Let's do the show.
Our last text together is you said you have to tweet something about Will Rogers, which is true. And I did, and then you just responded nice. And I said thank you for sending it to me.
Mm-hmm.
That was when he had a great game.
Well, he has a great game most Saturdays.
He's great.
Too bad the rest of the team doesn't.
That's not true.
Damn, Katie came from the
They're
clouds on
they're
that
building
one.
the program.
You wanna compare to our team, right? We're
I'd
two
rather
arrows,
my
two
quarterback.
arrows, two arrows.
I'd rather my quarterback still.
Yeah, you're gonna lose your quarterback in about 2 weeks, 3 weeks. He's gonna be gone forever. My quarterback, 3 more years.
Congrats.
Thanks.
I still like Sam
2
Howell
arrows.
better.
Yours is going down. Mine's going up.
I didn't mean it to be comparing apples to oranges.
What
I was
about
just
mine?
saying, oof, tough.
Yours is pretty
y'all
good.
got somebody coming in.
Can't beat us, but you're pretty good.
If we ran that game back right now, it would be a bloodbath.
That's not how.
Not how it works.
That's not how
I
it
know.
works.
Not how any of this
Fine.
works.
Let's start a fucking podcast.
Come here,
Jeff,
Jeff.
you are a point of contention right now.
Didn't go to Katie's mic. Is the experts had the worst performance in the history of the
Yes,
dozen?
that is correct. I'm sorry. It's just the truth.
How is that right? We scored 5 points.
It was in terms of question accuracy, it was the worst performance in the history of the show.
I don't understand how that is.
Now
We scored 5 points, and there's other teams that scored 2 points.
It's a matter of circumstance because Kayce's played a team that got more points than the team you played, so they had less opportunities to miss points. You had 20 potential questions, you hit 2 of them. They had 16, they hit 2 of them.
Hell yeah.
Hold on, my mom was calling. All right, Jeff. Hi. Welcome to Unnecessary Roughness, Barstool's college football podcast, brought to you by... Quit clapping during the intro. Brought to you by High Noon Hard Seltzer. When did we introduce clapping?
I've followed Jack's lead.
When have you ever done that?
Sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah. We're like a good.
You're the leader on the show now?
No, like sometimes I follow her lead, sometimes she follows mine.
It's facts, yeah.
She has literally never followed
That's
you.
not true.
That's not true.
Katie,
She
let's
asked-
bang on the table. I'm glad visually people saw what I did, because after it came out of my mouth, that didn't sound good.
Yep.
Fuck.
Oh, I didn't even think about
That did not sound good. I meant that. Shit.
But it happened right away. You did it right away.
Yeah.
I did.
It would be even hard to do it out of context.
High Noon Hard Seltzer. Real vodka, real juice.
For real people
fans.
like me and you.
Yeah.
Love it.
Shout out them.
Shout
out
them.
High Noon.
They're the best.
We
through
do
and
love-
through. Thank you.
We
They
do
have
love
been
High
there
Noon.
since the beginning.
We probably have to shoot a new commercial soon.
I would think so.
For college
Yeah,
March
'cause the
Madness.
last
Did
one's
our
movie.
college
commercial
football.
come out with me and the
Yeah.
pineapple? I
Oh,
never
yeah.
saw it.
Well, that's because you probably don't watch our videos.
I don't watch anything with you in it.
Yeah. Well,
Oh,
that's
so you
not
don't?
very
I don't
nice.
think. Do you go on YouTube a lot?
I do.
Okay.
I watch a lot of old
Like wrestling.
Nintendo video game
okay.
clips, and I like to watch people play video games. I also like to watch. I watched last night just the the funniest moments of The West Wing.
That's good.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
I was actually-
love Jed Bartlett.
I've never seen West Wing.
You should. It's a good show.
Okay.
You a West Wing guy?
No, but
You don't like them because they're liberal.
No, well, yes, but also there is a great scene in West Wing, the whole scene.
Right, a man falls in a hole. Yeah.
The doctor walks
I've been
by a
here
lawyer.
before,
Yeah,
yeah.
The friend jumps in.
Yeah, that was actually in the top 10 list. I sent a picture
Oh.
of it to Rico last night.
Yeah.
Very good show.
Okay.
Not gonna watch it. It's on Netflix. It's not on Netflix. I lied. It's on something.
I don't know. I feel like we need to talk about college football because people get upset that we
No,
don't.
don't listen to
fuck
them.
them.
I know. Katie had my back on Instagram though.
Well, you she did. But
Katie, can
I dropped an eye roll emoji.
Yeah, it was
Can I
funny.
tell y'all a secret about Katie? She's not in love with the energy here today. She doesn't want to take anybody's side. She doesn't like that we're all combative today.
I'm like being combative. I don't like when I get put in the middle to choose a side.
Kayce did that to you. I didn't.
What did I do?
You tried to put her in the middle
I will say Katie did stand up for me on Instagram, so I appreciate
with an
that.
eye roll emoji.
Well, yeah, because
She might have been making fun of you.
no, she wasn't.
No, it was not.
Welcome back from your sabbatical.
I didn't have a sabbatical.
Well, you weren't here Saturday.
Sabbaticals for like a year.
You're gonna be gone for a year.
No, I don't.
That
Not
would
that I
be-
know of.
That would be crazy. A Barstool sabbatical. We should actually
It
probably put that in. Some people probably
Like a
need it.
mission trip, go to Australia for 2 years.
Or just like take it off, or like write
we're-
a book.
Like we're BYU power forwards, just
Yeah.
disappear for 2 years and come back and play 2 more years.
Yeah.
It is weird that people can just do that. They can
Well-
just like
Well,
leave
they're
their
expected to
lives.
do
and
it,
then
yeah.
I know, but just like okay, well, I'm just leaving.
Well, it's mission work. I mean,
Brandon, I noticed you were eating healthy today.
and can I
Well-
just call you and Miss Tallstacks over there?
You were not
out?
eating healthy today. You were trying, but you were failing.
You guys made fun of me.
Well,
Because half of your
You said
plate
that was a beige
rice.
plate.
well,
And
it was beige.
There's
It was
no
most-
color on it.
There
I
was
had grilled chicken and brown rice.
and mashed
brown.
potatoes.
It was
that
brown
That
rice.
was not brown rice.
That's what
Did
it
you-
was. That's what the order
Did
said.
you not learn in middle school your plate's supposed to be a rainbow?
Yeah.
It was grilled chicken and brown rice.
Okay, but the bigger point is, I wanted to ask you: are you trying to get back in shape?
Of course I am. Yeah.
Have you been using the Lightboxer?
It arrived at my house yesterday.
Listen, the Lightboxer.
It came in so many boxes.
So many boxes. I mean, it's a massive piece of equipment, but it's also the coolest piece of equipment.
I've worked on it here at the office. We have one at the office. What Lightboxer is, it's a piece of workout equipment, but you stand on a little platform and you box. You box. And it's not a heavy bag. It's not one of those swinging bags. It's a platform where you just punch a lighted platform or lighted series of lights.
It's like Dance Dance Revolution for boxing.
It is, and it
That's
tells you
what
where
it
to
is.
punch, and you follow the patterns. And when you do that, you think you're just doing the patterns. Your mind's engaged, but your body is working its ass off.
And you have trainers on the iPad. You
Yeah.
can do just
Sync it up with
if you
music.
want. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's absolutely amazing. And everybody knows this. Everybody knows. Boxing is the best full body workout.
Boxing's incredible.
It's incredible. And Lightboxer allows you to do all of that at home without having to go to a gym. You don't really realize how hard it is till you're done. And you're fast.
I have a heavy bag at home, but that thing makes a lot of noise. My wife doesn't like when I use it when she's in the house because it like shakes the floor above it. This one, you can just she doesn't even notice. You just get in there and do the Lightboxer, and it's fantastic.
This is basically, like I said, it's the fitness version of Dance Dance Revolution, Guitar Hero, Rock Band, whatever it is. It lights up, you punch it, you work out really hard, you get in shape, and we want all of our people that listen to this show
Yes.
to be in shape.
Yes.
Because here's the thing. You don't get in shape for the summer in May.
No.
You get in shape for the summer right now.
Time to go to work.
So head to lightboxer.com right now, and you'll get $400 off.
That's LITEboxer.com.
LITEboxer.com today. $400 off for their early Black Friday sale.
That's a lot of money.
I keep forgetting Black Friday is coming up, but $400,
Very soon,
that's a lot.
yes.
It's a lot of money. This offer only comes around once a year, so do not miss out. Again, lightboxer.com, $400 off. Let's get in shape.
I would like to, yeah. So it is college football.
And they call you a loser.
We have got college football on the brain, on the mind. It is our college football podcast.
College football. November college football.
So, yes, we are heading towards November, which is, I got a couple questions for you guys.
We're in November.
Heading towards the stretch run of the season here in November. And I've got a couple questions for you guys related to the Heisman, related to the season, related to what we're going to face. Now, I'm going to say it right now. Jack's probably going to drop it in at the end, but we are recording this at 4 o'clock on Tuesday. At 9 o'clock tonight, we are having the the College Football Playoff Committee's second rankings.
Mm-hmm.
Would be awesome if it was the Barstools.
I think if there were a lot of drama tonight, we would just stay and do a live reaction. We're going to have it on the end of this podcast. So we're doing a lot of this podcast early, and then we'll have that. So if you want to just know our reaction to that, skip to the end. But
Don't tell people to skip things.
well, they're here anyway.
Don't we still get the view?
If they skip within
Listen?
the podcast, does that matter to us?
Yeah, it does.
Yes, a lot.
Why would that matter?
It's
Because
minutes,
average
listens.
viewership, like average time watch.
Well, they can come back and if they want to hear that first, they can go hear that first.
I have a good idea. Let me rephrase. We're going to do the podcast. Right now, we're going to talk about all the news and notes. We're
Right.
going to talk about the weekend slate.
Sure.
We're going to give our picks on the weekend slate. And then at the very end, you get our live reaction to the college football playoff rankings, week 2, which obviously will have some shakeups because some teams lost.
Spoiler alert. It's going to be number 1, Georgia, number 2, Alabama, number 3, Oregon, number 4, Ohio State.
Yep.
Done.
Yep.
Done. I mean, what
How confident are you in that?
Extremely.
Like percentage-wise.
99 and
I was
a
going to
half.
say 95.
I mean, maybe is there drama with what they do with Cincinnati? Do they move them up to 5? Do they leave them? Does Michigan jump them? Does Oklahoma State come up? Does Oklahoma come up? That's your drama. There's otherwise not much drama.
I think 1 through 4 is not going to have any drama at all.
There will be drama later when these teams start losing, when Alabama loses to Georgia and Auburn, but right now there's no drama.
As we're recording this, we don't know, but because Cincinnati was put at number 6, that's why they will not be in the top 4 this week. Had they been at number 5,
Right.
they could have slid in there.
I still think there's a great path for them to get to the
Yes,
playoff.
what I'm saying for this,
but
for,
we're going
for
to
tonight.
We're going to talk about that later.
November
Sure,
9th.
we'll talk about that later.
Yes.
What do you guys want to talk about first? Because I have several takes and I also have the because list. I got 4 because lists
Well,
to
I
talk
think
about.
we have a lot of news.
We do have some news, and I want to start with I don't know what order your news items are
I
in.
can skip around.
There's a news item I want.
Oh my God. Mincy did a 1 Minute Man with Nate Silver.
A 1
I'm
minute
gonna
man.
have to watch this. Not 1 Minute Man. Sorry. After dinner mints or whatever.
Brandon's head's about to
I
explode.
think he calls it the Mince Minute. After dinner mince is dead. Much like Ole Miss. So
That's a big game this weekend.
What piece of news did you want
A&M's
to
going
jump
to beat Ole Miss.
I know.
A&M's a lot better football team than Ole Miss. Ole Miss is pretending right now.
I'm liking the under for that. I might make that my lock.
Ole Miss unders have been excellent because people think their offense is great, and it's just not. So anyway,
The news and notes.
news and notes.
Katie has a whole bunch
There's
of them.
one news item that I would like to talk about first. And I would love for you to agree with me or disagree with me, whatever you feel.
Okay.
My question is this. I'm going to ask you first before I get my take. Do you think Nebraska was right to keep Scott Frost?
Yes.
Yes.
I was not asking you, Jack. I was looking dead at Kayce when I asked
I
her.
was just saying yes, though.
Thank you, Jake.
For you answered the question that I didn't ask you.
Yes.
Do you think Nebraska was right to keep Scott Frost?
I do.
Shit.
Is that your take too?
Yes, my take. I wanted to give my take. I
Well,
want
then
you to
go ahead
disagree
and
with
give
it.
Okay, I'm not disagreeing with it. I will. You know what, Brandon? I will give you the floor. I agree with your take. Maybe I'll disagree with some of your points, but I will let you give your take.
In a world where there's going to be a lot of openings, Nebraska had a chance to get lost in the mix behind USC, behind LSU, behind Virginia Tech, behind some other programs, behind TCU perhaps. In a world where we judge coaches only on wins and losses, I think that would have been short-sighted this year with Scott Frost because Scott Frost and Nebraska are close. There might not feel like there's a such thing to Nebraska fans as close, but trust me, they are close. They are a good team with a bad record this year, and that does exist. That can happen. Hell, I root for one. You can be a bad team with a good record, like maybe a Michigan State, a Wake Forest, or you can be a good team with a bad record. I think that's what Nebraska is. Nebraska had Michigan State beaten. They let them off the hook. They had Michigan beaten. They let them off the hook. They were right there with Ohio State. They are very close. Doesn't show in the record, but I think if you give them one more year, Scott Frost, knowing that he hasn't really performed, he's restructuring his deal. The buyout will be less. His salary will be less. I think Nebraska showing some patience here and recognizing that it isn't all about wins and losses, that below that there's some nuance and there's some wiggle room here that, hey, they're better than their record indicates. I think Nebraska's doing a great job by not firing Scott Frost.
Agree with all your points. I will also add in, like you said, with the openings that are out there right now, we know USC, LSU, you don't want to be in the mix with those because it's not Nebraska of old, but they are changing a lot of the coaching staff. So you're going to be able to get a new group of people in. But the biggest thing to me is that they're reducing his salary. So it's kind of like you can't completely compare it to like Tom Brady taking less because Tom Brady's Tom Brady, but it is like, I will take less to prove to you that we're going to I'm going to be good next year.
How do you continue to get Tom Brady into the conversation?
I will talk about him all day.
I know, but how? Why? What?
Because he'll take reduced salaries just in order to be better for the team, better for the franchise. Scott Frost is taking it so he can keep his job. Tom Brady was not. But I do think that the fact that you mentioned they restructured the contract, this is his ride or die point. He has to do well next year. But you look at last year with the pandemic and how just, I don't even know what word to use, like rah-rah for the team that he was. Like, it's not like Nebraska fans hate Scott Frost.
No, they don't. They certainly don't want to dislike him.
Right. So I think that's an even better reason to keep him because it's not like he's a guy that's just kind of like, like not only does the team suck, but we don't really like him either. They really like him. They galvanized around him in the pandemic. Give him one more year, pay him less, see what he does.
Yeah, I really think that in this world, in college football, we look at 5-2 and we say, okay, well, that's a team that is good enough for 5 wins, bad enough for 2 losses, and that's it. And we judge every 5-2 team like they're equal, and they're really just not. And Nebraska's record is bad, but they are a much better roster than their results indicate.
Well, and if you look at, Katie has it up here on the screen, so if you're watching on YouTube, you can see. But if you look at the coaches that they are replacing, I mean, if they can't get a better offense next year,
right,
when they replace basically every single assistant coach on offense, that is a problem.
Well, I think more importantly, they get to run it back with another quarterback, whether that's somebody they got in the system now or in this day and age. Look what Michigan State did, going out and getting a whole new roster. If he can go out and find a transfer portal quarterback, not Spencer Rattler, but a Spencer Rattler type guy, if he can find somebody that started somewhere with some recognition and just needs a new place, Nebraska would be where I would go because their defense is good. Their receivers are pretty good. Their running backs aren't bad. Nebraska is a quarterback away from being a 9-3 team, and I think Scott Frost will figure that out in the offseason.
I agree. We agree.
Okay.
You thought I was going to disagree with you?
I just wanted you to. I kind of want to fight.
Ooh.
Yeah.
We
I
can
was
fight.
hoping for a
You wanna,
good
like,
fight.
fight?
I might just vehemently disagree with you today just to do it.
Please don't do that.
Why not? Don't you think that's better?
I do like when we fight, like, legitimately about things we disagree with, but I don't like when we actually fight.
We're not going to actually fight.
We have done that before.
Once. We had one fight.
Imagine how awkward an offensive coach meeting is now, because you have no OC, no LL, no running back, no quarterback. So it's Scott Frost, the tight ends coach, alone at a table right now.
Yeah, and a couple of graduate assistants.
Yeah.
Just getting everybody ready.
Yeah. Equipment managers. Yeah, that's what I mean. It's a complete overhaul of their offensive assistants.
Yeah, but that's what you do when you keep your job. If
For sure.
If you're close to getting fired, I mean, it's what Dan Mullen's doing at Florida. Dan Mullen just fired a guy he's been with for 20 years, his offensive line coach. He fired the only defensive coordinator that's ever been able to stay in a room with him and Grantham. So Dan Mullen is saving his own ass by getting rid of other asses.
Well, and that's you have to do it. And if you're a coach, you know that that's the game. You know that if once you become a head coach, that you have those opportunities, unless you suck so bad or the school hates you or the AD hates you or whatever. Like, the first thing that you do if you're on the hot seat is start replacing people underneath you and trying to figure it out. That's what Scott Frost is doing. That's what Dan Mullen's doing. But that's how coaching works. It stinks.
It's a good transition to Florida and Dan Mullen. Is he going to save his ass, though? Like, he hasn't gotten out of this yet. He let Todd Grantham go, John Hevesy go. And the reason he let John Hevesy go isn't because he doesn't like him or he's not a good offensive line coach. It's because John Hevesy can't recruit, and he has the perception that he can't recruit. And Mullen is trying to save his ass because he has a perception that he can't recruit. And to Florida fans, that's as important as winning games.
Yeah, we talked about this last week about the recruiting situation when he, and everybody freaked out. It was like, oh, he says he doesn't care about it. But I don't think that the problem with Dan Mullen is these guys. I just don't think he's a good fit at Florida.
Todd Grantham's a problem.
Yes,
I don't know about John Hevesy, but Todd Grantham sucked for a while.
He definitely has.
Even last year, he sucked.
Like, I don't see, and I think there will obviously be a step up if he can find a better defensive coordinator. That's just an obvious statement. But him not playing Anthony Richardson, him not, like, all those things have nothing to do with Todd Grantham.
No, but they've been a dumpster fire all over the field. And last year, I think they could have competed for a national title with that offense. But they go to Texas A&M, give up 38. They give up 46 to about like their defense just failed them last year when they had a chance to compete at a high level. The reason they didn't was their defense.
So I know you never do this on the podcast,
right?
Ever. What I'm about to do,
sure,
ever. So I apologize in advance. But last week when we were sitting right in this spot, I asked you, could South Carolina beat Florida? What did you say to me?
No chance in hell, I would assume.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what I said?
Yeah, you made a lot of fun of me for it.
I probably did. South Carolina is a bad program, a bad team with a first-year coach. They're getting quarterbacks off the street. There can't be a world where Dan Mullen loses by 23 points to Florida.
I'm not even trying to be an
South
asshole.
Carolina.
It was kind of like an in-passing thing, and you're like, absolutely not. I was like, okay, then never mind. But I was thinking about that. I was like, that's where Florida is right now. When a year ago, we were like, they are going to be competing with Georgia to play Alabama in the SEC championship, which is why I don't think that these moves by Dan Mullen really make that big of a difference.
Well, it depends on what he gets. If he gets an offensive line coach that's going to get top recruits, that's going to get the fans off his back. That'll get the fans off his back. And he hasn't gotten out of this yet. Dan Mullen has to win out. He has to beat somebody, a really shitty team this weekend.
I want to say it's Auburn, Mizzou, and Florida
No, it's
State.
not Auburn.
Samford is this weekend.
Samford,
Mizzou,
and Florida State.
There we go.
Yeah.
That's it.
He can't lose to Florida State. He can't lose to Mizzou. I don't think he could lose to Samford anyway, but he can't lose any of those. If he loses another game, he's probably out.
I would agree with that. If he loses to Florida State, I would assume because
I think that's in Gainesville this year. I'm not sure.
Just because that rivalry, I understand cross-conference rivalries are always a thing. I wish they was in the same. I've been to that game. They fucking hate each other. But as bad as Florida State has been, and if Dan Mullen loses to them after losing to South Carolina and everything else, like, they have to fire him.
Yeah.
You don't have an option at that point.
Yeah, it's the uncertainty of which jobs are going to be available. Obviously, right now, USC and LSU are the headliners, but Florida would immediately be a co-headliner. They would be.
Rank those three.
I would go LSU, Florida, USC.
Yeah, I would too.
And then Washington could come open. He's going through some problems. Jimmy Lake. All right. Jimmy? Huh?
I really didn't I think people freaking out about that is just so dumb.
Did you see what he got suspended for?
Am I just like, oh, that's a football guy thing? Like, I'm not.
Correct. It's a football guy thing. That's listen.
Maybe it's a little bit
for
but
people in 2021 to pretend that football coaches don't get after players to be horrified. Like, football's a violent game, And when a coach gets up in your face, and he didn't even do much. He grabbed him by the helmet, just kind of.
Remember when Jeremy Pruitt did the Jarek Arantano?
Yeah.
People got really mad about that too.
You can't in this day and age. You can't touch players. You can't even yell at players anymore.
Jimbo did it, wasn't it? 2 years ago.
Jimbo got into it. But it was just so dumb. It's like, who cares?
You can't lead young men without sometimes getting to a place where you have to discipline them, where you have to.
Also, I guarantee that player didn't care.
I guarantee you that player didn't care.
None of that. Anybody that played on that team that gave a fuck.
Who was the player earlier this year that did a great job of like people were
it was
tweeting about his
Mario Cristobal. He got a taunting penalty.
He got on his ass.
He shouldn't have gotten it because he did the first down thing. It was a stupid penalty that the refs do.
But the player himself took it very well. He took it a lot better than everybody else.
But then Rod, who's the guy on ESPN, the announcer, Rod Gilmore was like, that's too far. I can't, in this day and age, you can't do it. But Cristobal was just yelling at him. He's like, you can't do that. He's the coach. I don't understand
why former football players say that.
Well, Rod Gilmore, that guy stinks. He's boring. He's not good.
I like it when former football players come out and they were like, can you imagine if somebody got upset about this at our time? Like, it's like, the older days were so much tougher. But I hate this. I hate this.
He grabbed him by his face mask and, ripped him, which could actually hurt him. I get it. But he, went like this on his face mask. The player probably didn't even feel it. That's not like a punter. That's like a linebacker who probably gets hit more than that 100 times a practice.
But it's
about football.
It's another punch. It's another punch to Jimmy Lake. He'll probably be out soon. He had the thing he said last week, and Washington's terrible this year. I don't really see the Jimmy Lake era lasting very much longer at Washington. So there you go. So he kind of grazes him.
Look, the player just walked away because he knew that.
Yeah.
And also, you can see that the player is yelling
the push
shit
too. But the push, come on,
I think the player understands what's going on.
Yeah, the player knew he fucked up.
The 19-year-old is much more of a man than anybody that's reacting to.
Maybe it's because the ref got hit.
I do think that.
Fuck that ref.
I don't think that's
the
why
ref
he got
complained.
suspended.
We should always hit refs. I think you should be able to hit refs.
Do you see what happened in the NFL last night?
The hip check.
The dumbest shit I've ever seen in my entire life.
Side noting.
Hip check.
That guy just wanted to be on a power trip. But I think I did when I first saw this, I did think that because the ref was in the mix, that it might have heightened it a little bit, just because he
barely touched the ref.
Right, barely. But I'm saying I could see people being like, oh look, he even had to shove the ref out of the way to get to the player. I mean, that player doesn't give a shit. Yeah, no one gives a shit. These are all grown ass men playing one of the most violent sports outside of.
That kid may be 18.
I mean, I just the idea of, he's wearing a helmet. It's not like he punched him in the head.
Whatever. Whatever. All right, move on to some more news, please. This is interesting.
Why?
What?
He's a great recruiter.
I know, but...
So here's the thing. Texas Tech has hired new head coach Joey McGuire. It just is weird in that I guess it's almost like what South Carolina did last year when South Carolina was one of the first ones with an open coaching vacancy, and they were one of the first ones to hire, and they hired Shane Beamer, a guy they probably could have gotten at the end of the process, a guy they didn't really. Now Joey McGuire is a guy that was he already on staff? Texas Tech?
He was at Baylor.
He was at Baylor.
Baylor.
Yes, excuse me. Of course he was. He was at Baylor. He's come from the high school ranks in Texas, where he's been there a while. Cedar Hill High School in Texas. And then he was at Baylor. But he has a very good reputation in Texas. Now I don't know.
Massive.
I don't know that's what I want to ask. I don't know the politics of football in the state of Texas. But it does seem like the state of Texas, the teams there value the state of Texas more than anything.
Absolutely. Well, that's just not with sports. That's just in general. I mean, the state of Texas values anything the state of Texas more than anything else.
But you can sustain a program based on recruiting 80% of your players from within the state of Texas.
Yes, and
a lot of schools don't come from states like that.
And Cedar Hill is a massive high school, and you look at a lot of the high schools, especially in the Dallas-Fort Worth and Houston areas, they're bigger than some college stadiums easily, the South Lake Carrolls of the world. So it's if you can succeed at the high school level,
right,
they'll always love you.
So this is a
now I don't know if
this is a case of Texas Tech identifying the guy that fits them the best, and it doesn't really matter how it looks to non-Texans or anybody like me.
I mean, even as somebody who grew up in Texas, I responded to the group text and was like, what?
Like, think about what I mean. He had as much to do with Matt Rule's success as Matt Rule did at Baylor.
Yeah.
Matt Rule came from as a Northeast guy, went down to Texas, and went down to Waco, which is not like you're in Dallas or like a city. And this guy comes along. The big concern with Matt Rule was that how is he going to connect with the high school football coaches? How is he going to have good connections? He brings in Joey McGuire. Joe McGuire not only helps Matt Rule, but also Dave Aranda, because now Dave Aranda was at LSU for a long time, but he also helped him there, and now he's going to Texas Tech. That quote there, it's like kind of funny, the 993 texts, then 575 of the other.
Yeah.
And the majority, I promise you, were Texas high school football coaches. It's a funny quote, but it matters. Like
It does matter. And this is one of those things where, people are always like, oh, my state loves football, or my area of the country loves football. Texas is a different breed, and I mean that's why Eric Taylor with Friday Night Lights. I mean that he's like an icon, because I mean that is how high school football is seen, especially outside of the big areas. Now Cedar Hill is in the Metroplex, but why I think this is weird is what you said earlier. They could have gotten him at the end of the season.
Yeah.
So they didn't need to.
But wouldn't you just want? Why is that, Matt? I don't get the timeline thing.
Well, I'm throwing it out for debate. Like, could you go through the process and see what kind of sitting head coaches you could get instead of just going ahead and selling? Now, if it works out, it doesn't matter. I would see, now that we're arguing about it, I see a counter to it. Like, he can now get around
early.
Texas high schools right now and
going.
get this thing going. Yeah. He can go ahead and get to work, and they're still in Texas high school playoffs, I assume. He can get around to all these high schools, and he can start recruiting for next year,
Exactly.
and he can go ahead and get to,
So, like,
to
I
the
just
job.
Googled just to see what the first message board
Right.
headline would be. So 4 hours ago, Texas Tech football. Joey McGuire shows off recruiting prowess on first day.
Yeah, I think
So
there was
it's
a guy, there was a DB yesterday who had been projected to Kansas State, and the second this guy was hired, he tweeted out, "I'm committed to Texas Tech."
21 hours ago, Joey McGuire hits recruiting trail same day he was named as head coach. So yeah, so we've now talked ourselves into the counterpoint. But I think when Katie first sent in the group text, it was just kind of like, so they fired a coach who had a winning record at the time.
Matt Wells is.
It's
He
one
didn't
of
work.
It's
He
one of
didn't
those
work,
things.
but-
It's one of those things where it does surprise onlookers from outside the program and outside Texas who don't know. Let's be honest here. You might have. I didn't know who Joey McGuire was yesterday. Before yesterday, I didn't know who Joey McGuire was. But when you look into it and you look at what Texas Tech wants to create, then this hire makes a lot of sense.
I wrote in the text, LMAO, who? And then as soon as I Googled him, I was like, okay, this makes sense for it. And now if this was...
Did you know who Joey McGuire was?
No, but that doesn't matter. I mean,
Well, no, but
That's what I'm saying.
That's what, in the state
I wouldn't have known who Shane Beamer was if he didn't have the last name Shane Beamer.
I don't understand your point. What are you arguing
We're all
against?
agreeing with each other.
Well, you didn't agree with me until I said what I pointed out.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's no argument. Joey McGuire, they hired him at the right time. He spells his last name correctly, and it was. I think it's a good hire. And also,
What's your last name, Jack?
The splash hire is MCGUIRE. The splash hire doesn't always work.
Agreed.
And it's not...
Texas Tech is going into a new age of Texas Tech football.
I feel like you're still arguing a little bit.
No, I'm not. It was just it doesn't matter that you didn't know who he was. It's irrelevant.
I know that. That's what I said.
Yeah, but we were just talking about who.
Right.
But I think that the bigger thing is he can walk into now any high school football program and they'll know exactly who he is.
Idiots like me didn't know who he was, but he's the right hire for Texas Tech. You can see that.
I also just think, I still don't understand them getting rid of Kliff Kingsbury at the time. Now we're seeing what he's able to do in the NFL.
Well, he wasn't doing it there.
But he
wasn't doing it
Yeah,
there.
you are. That's case.
What was his record? It couldn't have been that bad.
Getting rid of. They shouldn't have.
They should not have gotten rid of Kliff Kingsbury.
He wasn't. He still wasn't. He wasn't showing at Texas Tech what he has showed in the pros.
Yeah, that is true, but I feel like
It was his
why?
first head coaching
and
job.
Then they went and got Matt. That was a bad decision. They went and got Matt Wells.
Correct.
It didn't work.
So this is going to work from a recruiting standpoint, but this is he's never been a head coach before. Now I will say, if it was the University of Texas or if it was A&M,
It's
there would be
Texas Tech, yeah.
right. There would be a whole lot more pressure
Yeah.
on the idea. But Texas Tech has
Kliff Kingsbury spent 6 years as the head coach at Texas Tech.
6,
Yeah.
He had a record of 35-40. It didn't work.
but it's also Texas
Yeah,
Tech.
Guys, it didn't work. 35-40 over 6 years.
Yeah, but then, okay, so
How long are you going to give a losing coach? 6 years?
Was it a mistake that they fired Kliff Kingsbury and got Matt Wells?
I
Yes.
don't that they hired Matt Wells. Yes.
Yes.
I don't know that Kliff Kingsbury in college would have turned into what he
Okay.
is. What he is suddenly. I don't know
And in
why.
hindsight,
But
is
the
2020
Texas
for sure.
Tech made a
but
mistake.
I agree with that,
That's
Jack.
my take, but you're right. Who knows?
He had 6 seasons. He posted just his first year was 8-5. After that, he had 5 more seasons. He had a winning record once.
Yeah.
That was his second season.
But they also went out and got him.
He had
gave him
4
the
straight
head-
losing seasons.
But here's where I'm
You're
going to make
Texas
this.
Tech.
But here's my.
You can't just be losing.
Brandon, here's my point though. With that is, what are the jobs Kliff Kingsbury had before he was the head coach of Texas Tech? He was an offensive coordinator at
You
A&M
gonna let him learn forever?
for 1 year. No, I'm saying that this is what we're looking at with Joey McGuire. He's never been a head coach before. I know he's a good recruiter, but so is Kliff Kingsbury. Kliff Kingsbury is a very good recruiter.
What are we discussing?
The fact that just because this guy's a good recruiter doesn't mean he's going to have success.
Of course
at being-
not.
Well, so we're talking about how Texas Tech keeps making the same decisions over and over and over.
I don't think so.
You think Joey McGuire is a better coaching hire than Kliff Kingsbury was at the time?
We'll see.
We'll see.
We'll see. There's no way to know.
I guess. This is a. I
Kliff
understand.
Kingsbury was there 6 years. They gave him a chance. Didn't work. Didn't
But
work for
to
them.
go hire Matt Wells. Again, hindsight. This is a dumb argument at this point.
I don't even know what the argument is.
I was just letting you know that it doesn't matter that you guys don't know who he is.
No, you know what? I do know what the argument is. Y'all said it was wrong to fire Kliff Kingsbury. Y'all are both wrong.
Okay, cool.
Going from
was
Kliff
very
Kingsbury to
right.
Matt Wells was not a good decision.
Forget Matt Wells. He doesn't exist in this.
But it does
It
matter.
does.
It does. When you fire
Getting
a
rid of Matt
coach-
Wells, getting rid of Kliff Kingsbury was right at the time. They botched the hire, but that doesn't mean the firing was wrong.
But I feel like if you're going to fire somebody,
But then now this coach is like the favorite to win an NFL Super Bowl.
yeah,
He wasn't doing that in college, and we don't know if he would have done it in college. He had 4 straight losing seasons, guys.
Reverse Tebow. Reverse
I
Manziel.
feel like if you are going to fire somebody, the next guy has to be better, or it will always be said it was a mistake.
I don't know that the next guy was worse. Matt Wells was 5-3 this year when he got fired. Kliff Kingsbury had 4 straight losing seasons.
They
Matt
almost lost
Wells
to
was
Kansas
5-3
last
with wins over like jokes of schools, like North Texas.
Kingsbury
Houston
needed
Baptist.
the NFL. Kingsbury is
They
apparently an
almost
NFL
lost to
guy.
an FCS team.
Kingsbury is apparently an NFL guy because he was not good at Texas Tech.
He was decent.
He was decent.
But he wasn't, guy.
For Texas Tech.
yeah.
What do you want this program to do? Say, oh, we suck. We're going to just let
No,
a guy
I'm
lose?
not. No. I'm not saying that they should have kept him forever. But if you're going to fire somebody who was almost at a 500 record, because that's what that is, at Texas Tech, who was a quarterback guy. I mean, we could go down the list of all the quarterbacks that he's coached and have been very successful. And you go out and hire Matt Wells, who did not work out, obviously, because they fired him in the middle of the season. Now they're going out and get Joey McGuire, who does make sense from a recruiting standpoint, but does not make sense from a head coach in that conference standpoint.
I think he does as a head coach.
I think he does too. You got to try. You got to try him.
Side noting, the Lombardi Award finalists for top offensive and defensive linemen came out. There's 4 names on here. Who do you think's on here?
Offensive and defensive lineman?
Yes.
I hate these awards. I don't even care.
Well, but this is at least
Is it outside lineman only, or is it because Tyler Lindenbaum should be on there, the Iowa
He
center?
is.
Okay.
he is.
Um,
There's one name on here who I thought would be on
the
here.
Georgia
It's not.
guy, Jordan.
No,
He's not on there.
Not?
he's not. Jordan Davis is not on here.
Okay.
Is Kenyon Green on
Yes,
there?
it's Kenyon Green, Aiden Hutchinson, Tyler Lindenbaum, and Mike Rose from Iowa State. But Jordan Davis is not.
That's
which
interesting.
It is interesting.
Like in some books, he has Heisman
Kenyon
nods.
Green, though. Shout out him.
What's it called? What's this award called?
Lombardi Award. McMurphy just tweeted out the finalists. I mean, I'm surprised.
Yeah.
Lombardi
Also-
Award?
That
Also, Katie just wanted us to shut the fuck up
well,
about
no,
Texas
it's all.
Tech.
I mean,
Yeah, she was right too. That was a bad argument.
I mean, I'm genuinely surprised. That
Let's
Jordan
go on to
Davis
the
is not
next
on there.
news
I
item.
don't, honestly, though, I don't think it was a bad argument.
It was fine.
We
You
talked
guys
about-
were just wrong.
I mean,
Go with Florida.
We've already talked
we
about
talked
Florida a
about
little
Florida.
This is I feel a Jack moment.
Jack,
Oh, yeah, Jack, R.I.P.
you want to break the next news?
Yeah, UMass fired Walt Bell. Not surprised. The only time he won games was against me. UConn, and then when I had the Akron -9 thing.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, he's finished. I hope he lands on his feet. I think,
Do you?
yeah. I don't prey on a man's downfall. I will react to it. However, I won't miss him. I think UMass is still a joke of a program, always will be. Never had any success. FCS national championships don't count.
Oh my God! Hold on,
no,
time out.
No. That was from last year.
Yeah, last year.
What, this?
Yes.
This
Oh yeah, okay. I forgot about that.
So the quote that's on here, I forgot how fucking ridiculous this quote was. This is whenever they talked about the season not happening.
Right.
You know, my dad passed away in 2008. My biological mom OD'd in 2012. And to be honest with you, this is probably a tougher day than both of those.
Canceling the season.
Canceling the season, Brandon.
I think he didn't have a really good relationship with either of his parents.
But it is still so jarring to see that like a year and a half later.
yeah,
That was an actual quote that a man said about canceling a football season.
UMass an Adidas school.
I think they're New Balance now. I think they and
Oh,
they. If you guys remember correctly,
You know
UMass
you're not going to win if you're at a
forced-
New Balance school.
Yeah, UMass forced a season with last season, and then they went defeated.
All right. What else we got? Anthony Richardson hurt his knee dancing at the hotel Friday night. He was cleared to practice Thursday for the concussion. Hurt his knee dancing Friday. Had to do treatment all morning Saturday.
I want to know what dance move it was.
He tweeted it out.
He did.
The actual dance?
The actual dance?
Well, not his pick, like him doing it, but
We want to see the dance. What dance hurt the quarterback's knee?
Like especially somebody like Anthony Richardson, who's so athletic.
Super athletic. I don't know.
he was like,
Okay, so this is.
Well, that would make sense. That doesn't seem like your knee should be able to do that. That looks like
It's putting your knee in danger right there.
that looks like
Yeah.
an ACL tear to
He
me.
folds his shin behind his knee, and then he.
For context,
he's-
this is the dance.
That's what
Yeah.
he tweets. I honestly don't know how anybody could not hurt their knee doing that.
You know how stupid the internet is? That has 141,000 views.
yep.
But how could you not hurt your knee?
I
doing
might
that?
I might be in charge of finding the next Mississippi State kicker.
Really?
Yeah.
Between you and PFT.
I'm trying to organize PFT a tryout right now. Trying to get PFT down to Starkville to try out.
So he has eligibility.
He's never played varsity sports in college.
He does. Yeah.
This is going to sound like a dumb question, but I don't really think it is. Is there an age limit to eligibility?
Nope.
No.
No. 'Cause
Nope.
you've
You
mili-
could be like,
you've
J.R.
military
Smith.
people.
J.R. Smith, who played.
He's playing golf right now.
He's playing golf at NCAA. J.R. Smith, who played in the NBA for 15
There's
years.
I
that
know who it is.
57-year-old
That is-
North Carolina State.
South
No, South Carolina upstate.
Yeah.
that is
running back.
insane.
Yeah.
And I knew PFT would be underneath that because he's young, but I'm saying like, so like if you're like a 55-year-old dude and you can just launch field goals.
You could also, like, if you played 4 years of football somewhere, I'm pretty sure you could. You still have a year of eligibility in another sport. You could always just go back and play like basketball.
Katie, let's go. Let's get you back on the.
I probably could. I
Yeah.
have 2.5 years left.
Like I bet Johnny could play at A&M in baseball next year. He would be eligible
not
to
a
play
bad
baseball.
idea.
It's weird. It's weird.
What sport should we get Katie into?
I don't say basketball. I was never.
I don't
I was
like
never
basketball.
taught what a foul
Didn't
was,
say-
so I'd
didn't-
foul out in
didn't say
2
anything.
minutes.
I don't.
You've
Well,
already
that's what
done-
makes sense because you're tall. But
You've
I
already
don't-
done your rowing.
Yeah, I want to go outside of rowing.
I'm done with rowing.
What if we make her a kicker?
She's got long legs. I don't think kickers are tall.
That's true.
Kickers aren't tall.
Punter.
She could punt.
Spindly.
Speaking of punters, we don't talk about this guy enough.
Ooh, the San Diego State guy?
Ariza,
He's unbelievable.
you seen this guy?
Yes.
He's averaging 52.5 yards a punt. He's got like 2 80-yard punts this year.
He
got
should be the Heisman. Who
I
Screw it.
love.
if the Heisman were really given to the best player relative to his position,
Yeah.
he would probably be the Heisman. I mean, that's how he is phenomenal.
I love when Pat McAfee gets on different punters and like is like this guy should win the Heisman.
Yeah.
And it's like we should have a like, and I know they have an award for the best punter of the year. I want
It's called the Ray Guy Award.
the Ray Guy Award. Yes. What was his name at A&M that won the Ray Guy Award a couple years ago? Anyway, that's beside the point. I want it to be as big as the Heisman ceremony.
What was his name? Y'all
What was
did
his
have
name?
a good punter.
What the fuck was his name?
Y'all had a not Lambeau. Was it Lambeau or that was your kicker?
No, it was. No, he was. Yeah, no. I mean, this is how much.
You had
how
a
many
good-
drugs
you had
I'm
a
on
good
right now.
punter.
Not really drugs.
I remember that fucking punter.
You know who I'm talking about.
Yeah. Texas A&M Ray Guy Award. Just look that up. Ray Guy went to Southern Miss.
Braden Mann.
Braden
Braden
Mann.
Mann.
Braden Mann.
Oh, and we were talking about Braden Mann should win the Heisman. Yeah, no, I feel like I want a punter/kicker award that's as big of a deal as the Heisman. I want a
You
ceremony.
want kicker
for it.
Heisman.
Yeah,
Like
like
holder of
You
the
want
year.
a Heisman.
Holder of the year.
they do.
and it would be like the Happy Gilmore version of the Heisman. You know.
Just have the kicker award like at a Waffle House in Americus, Georgia.
Should have Pat McAfee giving the award away.
Yeah.
Like, oh my, have Dana Beers. I mean, this would be incredible.
We could do it.
I think
We could
do
pull it off.
I think we could too.
I'd probably get tired.
Before we move on, you should just read the quote that Leach said about punting or kicking.
So he's talking about kicking, and he says, "There's a ball, and you kick it. It really doesn't matter if a bunch of 7-year-olds are watching or 5 million Mongol warriors on horses are getting ready to shoot their bows and arrows at you. You approach the ball and kick it. It's as simple as that." There's also some pearl clutchers who have gotten a hold of this quote, and they're starting to take everything Mike Leach says like literally. I don't think he actually means kicking is like you're in war with the Mongol warriors.
People are mad at this quote.
Oh yeah,
What?
yeah. People.
I
Are
never thought it was
I
entertaining.
hate the internet.
people are stupid.
Well, I mean, Mike Leach is an easy target.
Yeah, but like that. This is. I mean, he didn't actually mean war, but I will say I
think what he's saying
disagree.
is his kickers are over making it difficult. They're
No,
overthinking
he
it.
probably thinks they're like, they're like
I-
nervous, and they get nervous, which it is a very big performance anxiety.
But just go out and kick the ball.
Go out and kick it.
You got to break it down to the base level.
I agree with that at the base, but like we do live shows, right?
Right.
Completely different version when we're sitting in here
I
by
understand, but
ourselves versus when
if
we're
your
out in front
kicker,
of thousands of people.
if your kicker is struggling to perform in front of a live audience, you have to tell him, forget the live audience.
Yeah.
Take it down to it's just you
Sports
and the ball.
psychologist.
That's what you
Yes.
got to do.
And Mike
Yes.
Leach sees,
He doesn't believe it's actually just him and the
Mike
ball.
Leach sees these guys probably at practice and they're hitting all the kicks. And then if you're missing in the games, it's probably because either one, it's the snap and the holding, and he probably saw that it wasn't. Two, you may have a lot, like you may be thinking too much, and that happens with a lot of kickers, I'm sure.
For
It's
sure.
like golf. It's like the mental game of
the
it.
mental game, but also like I know I've mentioned this before, but I'm going to mention it again. I fielded punts at Missouri's spring game at one point. No one was coming after me. I was still terrified.
But you don't field punts every day.
That's true.
And you haven't been fielding punts for years.
Yeah.
These guys have. And
I guess it's true. I just when you read it, it's just kind of like, well, there are major differences between just going out and kicking it versus having.
I think he knows that too.
Sure, but you have to
make
again
him believe that.
if they're struggling in this environment, try to take away this environment.
Yes.
Try to let them know that hey,
Take a deep breath.
at the end of the day, it's the same thing you've been doing since you were 7.
Yeah.
Yep.
I've kicked the ball millions of times.
By the way, did anybody here get a massage today?
No, but I signed up for Thursday and next Tuesday.
You didn't get one?
No.
I also didn't know about it. Brandon had to tell
I'm
me
not
about it.
the
Did you know about
biggest-
this?
Yeah,
Massage
because someone
guy.
at my desk told me about it. That
I don't know.
Actually,
Easy. Emails.
Katie signed me
It's
up.
very
for
easy
it.
to do. I have 2 scheduled now.
2 massages.
One on Thursday and one
I
next
might
Tuesday.
get one Thursday too.
I mean, I love massages.
It was good. She was rough.
Oh, God.
She was beating
Where
my
is
back
it?
up.
It's upstairs?
Yeah.
Do you
Well,
lay
I like
down
to
or is it a
sleep.
chair?
They got a special chair that you
Yeah,
sit
the
face
massage
down.
chair.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
to sleep after I have a massage. I've
Also,
only
you
had
can't
2.
drink afterwards
3.
usually.
I don't know
What?
that I've ever had a massage before
can't?
today. An actual
You're not supposed
massage.
to right away. Because you
You're-
get super, super
Yeah.
dehydrated.
Yeah.
Because they're massaging all of the liquid and stuff out of your muscles. I mean, you can, like, way later.
I don't think any of this is true. I think you're making all
No,
this
no,
up.
no.
I've
I
never
believe
heard that.
that.
Wow.
Before we get to the Week 11 preview, I have a couple questions.
All right.
Hell yeah.
This is the homework that he didn't let us bring.
You don't need to do homework on this. You just need to listen to the question and answer it.
But do you remember how much we loved the homework?
Nah, but, you can't force somebody to do something.
Are you drunk?
No.
Why are you acting drunk?
You can't force,
You're even shaking your drink like you're drunk.
if somebody is the way they are and that's what makes them great, you have to let them be.
Put your drink down.
You can't force a man to give us homework.
You're like
It
a
would-
drunk at a bar with a scotch in his hand.
Is your coffee spiked?
No, sir.
Irish coffee over there.
That's Kayce. That's a ma'am.
It's 2022.
One.
Oh, no. That was the joke.
All right, here we go.
Questions. Let's go.
We are heading down the stretch of the season.
Yes, we are.
Georgia's fine. Don't worry about them.
Okay.
Okay? Other teams, I think, are going to fall by the wayside. I think Michigan State's going to lose 3 games.
Okay.
There are 5 teams with 1 loss trying to get into this playoff.
All right.
Actually, one is undefeated. But there are 4 teams with 1 loss and an undefeated team trying to get into the playoff.
Okay.
They all have things in front of them. As we're trying to get into this thing, here are the 5 teams. Oregon, Alabama, Ohio State, Oklahoma, and Michigan.
Well, Cincinnati, too.
No, they're not a part of the question. This is my fucking question.
Okay.
Oh.
You said Ohio.
Ohio State,
Ohio.
These are the questions.
Like Lahia.
Who do you trust coming down the stretch of the season out of that that group of 5?
May I have a semantics off?
Please.
What do you mean trust? To get into the playoff?
I'm asking, who do you trust to take care of their business and be there at the end?
Do I only get to pick one?
You can rank them. You can pick 1. You can pick 3. You can pick 5.
Did you rank them?
Just pose the question. Who do you trust the most? How about that?
So we didn't put Cincinnati.
Cincinnati is their separate. They're a separate conversation we'll have tonight.
Now, in their conference, I think I trust Oklahoma the most, which is tough because I
think
know
that's dangerous.
It's dangerous, but
The Caleb Williams is doing a
Yes.
different thing. I think if you have to look at the more recent games.
He was the quarterback against Kansas.
I know that, but
you're
I'll pull up
going
the
to have a bad
remaining.
game in their conference. So they have Baylor,
At Baylor, at Oklahoma State, and Iowa
for
State at
Bedlam.
home.
And I mean Iowa State now is kind of like
I
But
don't think they're. You better bring your lunch pail to play them.
this week it's an 8-12 matchup. I know obviously we'll know
Well,
different
Baylor will be less.
less.
Yeah, they'll be like
And
17 or 18.
Oklahoma will probably go up.
7, maybe 7 or 8.
But regardless, a ranked matchup. I think in their conference I trust Oklahoma the most. So I'll put Oklahoma number 1.
I vehemently disagree with this one.
Who do you have Ohio State?
Ohio State would be my number 1. Alabama would be my last one.
Even after Ohio State and Nebraska
I don't trust
games.
Alabama at all.
You trust Michigan more than Alabama? Which,
Mi-
and I'm not
Michigan
saying
and Bama would be at the back of the line. Michigan, because they're going to run up against Ohio State. Although I think, Ohio State hasn't looked as impressive as I wanted them to the other night, and maybe Michigan has more of a chance to win than I thought. But I think Alabama's definitely losing to Georgia and probably losing to Auburn. I think Oregon has the trip to Utah. I think they're going to lose. I guess what I really brought this up for, there's a world in which every team on that list loses again.
Oh, easily.
Oregon plays at Utah. Alabama plays at Auburn. Ohio State plays at Michigan. Michigan plays at Penn State. Oklahoma plays at Oklahoma State. They all 5 have very tough road games over the next 3 weeks.
Yeah, no, you're 1,000% correct. I still think of these teams trusting in their conference, it would be Oklahoma, just because like what you said with Ohio State and Michigan.
But imagine that world I just gave you. What if all 5 of those teams lose? Because that is not crazy.
Then
That's not
nothing.
crazy
Then
at
nothing
all.
changes if they all lose.
I think several things would change. First of all, Cincinnati gets in.
I don't.
Of
I don't
course,
know.
Cincinnati
If
gets in.
Oklahoma loses one game,
They're
they're not
struggling
getting in
against
over
500 teams.
Cincinnati's
How
not
many
getting
spots do you think there are?
4. If you think Oklahoma loses one game, they're not getting in over Cincinnati?
I don't think they would have to. If I just told you every one of these teams lost, Oklahoma and Cincinnati would be in at that point.
If every single one of them lost.
If Oregon lost, if Alabama lost, if Ohio State lost, if Oklahoma lost, if Michigan lost.
Yes, then Cincinnati and Oklahoma would be in.
Right. And that is not crazy. Oregon at Utah will probably not be favored in that game. Alabama, I just don't think they're going to win at Auburn. Ohio State, I would give them the best chance to win out here. Oklahoma can very well lose to Oklahoma State, who's very underrated, and Michigan could lose twice. They could lose to Penn State. They could lose to Ohio State.
Yeah, this weekend the Penn State game is interesting.
I think Penn State's going to beat Michigan.
I don't, but I also know that we're going to be on opposite sides of that. I also, you mentioned it, that, Ohio State's still not looking completely dominant. I feel like the Ohio State-Michigan game, they're going to go into that game each with one loss. And that's who's going to be going to the Big Ten Championship. So that is, I think that we will not know that until Thanksgiving weekend. I don't know if I agree with you about Auburn and Alabama, but then again, like I don't know about Alabama. Like I know I'm reading the names on their jerseys, but
Right.
then my team beat them, and
Yeah.
my team, I
know about Alabama. They're not that good.
but I don't think Auburn's that good either. After
Auburn's
watching-
good enough to beat them at home. At home, jacked up. Alabama
I mean,
has.
they looked putrid against A&M last
When's the
week.
last time? All right, Alabama just looked average against LSU. They looked average against A&M. They looked average against Florida.
Probably your game.
When's no, not the question.
Yeah.
But I understand what you're saying. When's the last time Alabama had 3 average-looking games in a season?
Probably when Jalen was the quarterback.
You think? I don't even know
I don't
if
even
they were
think that. Yeah, probably average conference.
maybe a
games,
decade
like,
ago.
Maybe.
I mean,
But also, like, and I know we're not supposed to do, drawing lines between these teams, but I don't know how you can look at the game that Auburn played at A&M last week and say that you're for sure that Auburn can beat Alabama.
I don't care about that game at all.
I mean, they couldn't even score a touchdown.
Alabama, A&M's defense.
You guys didn't either.
A&M's defense is
defensive one.
A&M's defense is 1,000 times better than Alabama's defense. Alabama's defense isn't even close to A&M's defense.
I would agree with
That's
that.
a bad matchup for them. A shitty matchup. Alabama's not.
So in 2017,
Alabama's not a physical football team.
In 2017, when Alabama won the national championship against Georgia, they went LSU, only won by 14. At Mississippi State, they won by 7. Then they lost to Auburn in the Iron Bowl.
I assume that LSU was a hell of a lot better than this one, though.
Yeah.
That's a dangerous assumption, though, because that was right around they probably weren't great. But
they had to have been better than they are now.
yeah.
Because, I mean, when's the last time we've looked at an Alabama-LSU game before? I mean, there's definitely been blowouts, but, like, looking at it and being like, no one cares about that game.
Now, my second question is this, and I want us to really debate this. Is this a bad year of college football?
No.
Just
semantics off again.
okay.
Bad product?
I'm asking for you to interpret this word however you want. Is this a bad year of college football?
I'm going to interpret it how...
Where are the marquee games? Where are the marquee players? What was that?
I think we have some marquee players.
Do we?
I think they're this
The
year.
worst
they're-
Heisman
Name
rate.
This year,
No, name one.
this year
No,
they're
stop. Name one.
Correct.
Jordan Davis, Aiden Hutchinson,
Kenneth Walker.
Kayvon Thibodeau, Kenneth Walker.
When your first
I-
three players are
Defensive
defensive
lineman.
linemen,
If Jack had let me finish, I was going to say that I think it's the key players on the defense this year that are standing out, that because they're on the defense,
Right.
they don't stand out as much.
I'm just asking the question. Is it a bad year or a good year in college football? Because it is a different year. We are not having the marquee games. We are not having the marquee players. It is... I don't know that we've had a moment yet where you're like, wow, well, this is the greatest sport ever. I don't know if we had that moment yet.
So, from that standpoint, yes, it is bad.
I'm not saying it's bad. I'm saying let's have this
no.
discussion.
So, the reason I think it's a good football season is because outside of the one team that we've beat a dead horse over,
Right.
Georgia, we have no fucking
This
clue
is
what
what
it's gonna,
parity looks like is
So
what you're
this
telling me.
So, yes. So, this is the reason that people on the outside that are stupid people that hate college football is because they're like, well, it's the same thing every year. It's going to be Clemson and Alabama.
But
Who
that's
gives a
people
shit?
that judge football on one night a year, January 9th. That's
Correct.
people that you don't want to trust what they have to say anyway.
Correct.
That's
And-
Kevin Clancy's who it is.
and
He's the one who always says
And
it.
I said, I love Kevin, but that's a stupid take. However, like usually, and especially in recent years, even those of us who dive deep into college football for a living, it's like, well, we kind of do know that Alabama and Clemson and Ohio State are going to be there. We kind of do know that Oklahoma is going to sneak in and probably get shellacked in the playoff. We have no fucking clue what's going to happen. And I still don't necessarily think that, I would be an idiot if I didn't say Georgia's the best team in the country. But I think with a year of parity like we have, it would seem chalk for Georgia to just win out. Like that to me would be like, oh, well, so all year they were the best team and they won. That's the reason I like this season, because every single week we don't know what's going to happen.
It is a season of the unknowns, and watching Alabama show any vulnerability, watching Ohio State show any vulnerability, watching Clemson fall down the mountain a little bit is satisfying. So that from that standpoint, yeah, you could say it's a very good year, and I would have no problem with that. It's a different year. It's a different year where the Mount Rushmore of college football, if you put those four programs at the top, that Mount Rushmore has crumbled this season, and instead it's like a Washington Monument of Georgia just standing over the sport right now.
Which is why from my standpoint and opinion, it is a good season.
That's why we're having the discussion.
I think that anytime there's a shakeup, that it's a good thing for the sport overall, and that's not just with college football, that's in general.
It could be a reset year.
And I think that because we've talked about Georgia for so long, Kirby Smart can't get over the hump. He just can't beat Nick Saban. And this now through, November 9th or whatever the date is, we're still talking about how they are the kings of 2021. It's like, what's going to happen, though, down the stretch? Is he going to prove to be the guy that he's been in the past, or are they going to win out? Then you look at the Big Ten, and I said just a second ago, I think Michigan, Ohio State is going to have more juice than it's had in a long time. I think that
Maybe.
I think.
Okay.
I think they will both go in with one loss.
At least leading up to it.
Yeah.
If Michigan loses to Penn State this weekend, can we officially look at least the Big Ten East as we made much ado about nothing?
Yes. But I don't think that that's going to happen.
I don't know. Penn State.
Depends how close. If
Michigan can't lose to Penn State at all. I mean,
Oh no. In terms of playoff, yes, but in terms of the Big Ten East being a good conference,
I think that we will say there was a lot of like.
Yeah, nobody's good.
correct.
Nobody's good.
Yeah, but
We've spent the year putting Michigan State in the top 10, and they belong nowhere.
No,
near.
nobody's good in the country. Who's anybody played?
But I think that within the conference, though, it is like I think that the two conferences in the country that have been the most interesting thus far, Big Ten East, SEC West.
One of the worst arguments that I've heard. I think you. What was that? What are you thinking?
I mean, I think it's a
And they're
good
shaking
topic,
out,
and I've
but-
heard it because, like, even somebody said to me recently that it hasn't been a good year.
It's been a different year.
I don't really like. I think it's like it's not. It's like it doesn't matter. It's like just we enjoy college football no matter what. The people who listen to our show enjoy no matter what. I think it's a good conversation to have on the podcast because it's good content. But like, it doesn't matter. Like, who really cares? There's been good storylines. There's no great player.
There's no great
player. College football is really good when there's like a dominant quarterback, like we've seen with Johnny, Joe.
I mean, we just came off an era with Joe Burrow, Trevor, with Tua.
Yeah, and it was awesome. But like, it's a different season. I'm having fun with it. It doesn't have like the juice of like, but it does seem like more people are watching college football than ever. So it's, I don't know, it's a weirder season.
Next year we'll feel more normal because we just trusted all these first-year quarterbacks to be stars, and C.J. Stroud wasn't ready for it. I don't think Bryce Young was ready for it. DJ certainly wasn't ready for it. Spencer Rattler wasn't ready for it. But now next year, Caleb Williams will be going into his second year as a starter. Bryce Young will be in his second year as a starter. There will be guys that will have been around the block, and your stars will be ready to be actual stars.
Keyword star. So is there star power this year? Not
No,
really.
I don't think so.
I think there is, but it's on defense, so it doesn't stand out as much.
Right.
But they're not
and-
stars.
But that's not
Like,
that's just a
Proportionately,
different.
they're fantastic
so-
players.
Katie-
You said in the Michigan State-Michigan game, you said Aiden Hutchinson was the best player on the
Yeah,
field
they're
by
good
far.
football
But okay,
players.
but here's the thing. Even those defensive players aren't like stars. Like, look at somebody was pushing Will Anderson for Heisman today for Alabama.
What?
Will Anderson is a decent player. But just think of years past defensive ends like Myles Garrett,
Yeah.
Chase Young. These were stars. These were legends of the game. Even like Aiden Hutchinson, fine player, isn't moving the needle.
Like,
yeah.
Jadavion Clowney. Like you're talking about these. Like
we don't
big-
have those bigger than life stars on defense. We got good defensive players. Even Jordan Davis. The people who are saying Jordan Davis for Heisman couldn't pick him out of a lineup. Absolutely couldn't pick him out of the lineup. But years past, in Ndamukong Suh, when he was up there, he was
Manti
larger than
Te'o,
life.
like-
Yes.
Okay, yeah, fair. When you're
They
comparing
all
it,
need fake girlfriends.
when you're comparing it like that, yes, I agree with
Dead
you.
Fake dead girlfriends.
I was looking at it in terms of comparing it to other defensive players this year.
And you're right. Like if you're looking at the star power of 2021, you can point out more defensive players. But I think that's why this makes this season even more interesting, that we don't have that. We don't have the Lamar Jackson, the Trevor Lawrence, the Johnny Manziel. You go down the list. So as a college football fan, it's interesting. It also is, and it feels like 10 years ago. We're also coming off of the year where football was chaos last year. They couldn't practice. There was all these different rules.
Nobody in the stands. Yeah.
Nobody in the stands. So that's why, like, this season, it makes sense that it makes no sense.
The because list. You got 4 guys. And I think I have a leader in the clubhouse for because list because Kenneth Walker has played himself off the because list.
I have a because list.
He's now on the Heisman list.
I have a because list leader.
Who's your because list leader?
Maybe not a leader, but I think David Bell. What?
You couldn't just wait 30 fucking seconds.
You ask me.
You couldn't wait 30 fucking seconds for me to have my list?
You ask me.
You couldn't wait 30 seconds.
Do you have him on your list?
Definitely does.
You have him 4th on your list, though.
217 yards and 4 touchdowns last week, I think.
David Bell is the weirdest player in the country because nobody talks about him. Nobody says anything about him. And he is the best player on the field when they're taking down top 5 teams. He was the best player. David Bell had 114 catches 2 years ago as a freshman, should be the biggest star in college football, and nobody talks about him. Is it because he's at Purdue? Is it because his name's David Bell? He's got 64 catches, 1,000 yards, 5 touchdowns, and that's kind of a down year for him. He had a couple of injury issues early.
It's because he plays for Purdue.
I don't know, man.
Yeah, I
Like
think
Rondale Moore was a star.
Part of the because list, is because of where they play half the time. if not more. I'd say 75% of the time. But David Bell, I mean, when he got hurt earlier this season, like everyone was talking about it. It was
I gotta make a trophy.
What?
I gotta make a college trophy. You should have won the Heisman, but you didn't because you played at this
Purdue.
school. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
so who else is on your list?
Right now, I'm going to work from the bottom. David Bell's number 4.
Okay.
Tanner Mordecai, SMU. I've had several quarterbacks on the list I've already talked about, but he's got 2,800 yards, 34 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. Sincere McCormick. You want to talk about UTSA? You want to talk about an undefeated team? Did you say R.J. Young's list today, by the way?
No, he's like a troll, though, so I don't know.
He just wants
He tiered the teams. Tier 1 was
He's
Georgia.
always,
Tier 2 was a couple teams, like Michigan, Michigan State, Ohio. And then Tier 3 was 2 teams.
UTSA and
Alabama.
Shut the fuck up.
No, he does that.
On the same tier. Sincere McCormick, 1,060 yards, 10 touchdowns. But my leader, and if you could go to that top gentleman's Twitter just so we can get an update.
Oh, yes. Yes.
No, he don't get an update because
week.
he was a bye week.
Oh, I still want to get to the last, because I don't think we ever talked about his last
I'm
one.
sorry.
Yeah, there's his tiers right there. Georgia,
He
Ohio
does
State.
this all the time. Don't give him any
This is the
more.
dumbest thing. Okay, I won't talk about it.
Yeah,
anymore.
don't talk about it.
That is the dumbest thing I've ever
Big
seen.
Game Boomer 2.0.
I like Big Game Boomer.
Yeah, this guy works at Fox.
Big Game Boomer is a troll, though.
Big Game Boomer likes
No,
us.
we do not like Big Game Boomer.
Oh, we don't?
Yeah, we
Big Game
do.
Boomer, no, we do not.
I thought we did.
Our
I
official
like him.
position is we do not like Big Game
I
Boomer.
think he likes us.
Because he does not. He's never been to Starkville. He shits on Starkville. Fuck him.
That's the whole
he's very
point.
nice to
Like,
He's never been to any of these
He's
schools.
succeeding. You're
He's-
letting him succeed.
No,
I like him.
I don't.
I like
no,
him.
I do not like him.
Well, we can have different
Our
opinions.
official podcast
No,
statement
no,
is we
no.
do not like him.
We don't. No, that's not how this works.
Nope,
This is-
we're out.
does
We're
what
out
he
on.
did.
You're not a dictator.
We're
does
out on
what
Big
we
Game
do.
Boomer.
You're
I'm
not a
pulling
dictator.
the card on this one.
No.
Fuck
This
Big
is-
Game Boomer.
This is a democracy.
No. All in favor of saying fuck Big Game Boomer, say aye. Aye. God damn it, Katie.
I'm tired of it. No, like all of Viceroy accounts interact. I'm like, he does what we do, but just more often. Like when I make the troll maps, I make it based on nothing.
Right.
We're out on him.
His data is
People-
If
nothing.
you follow him, if you're a roughneck, unfollow him now.
No, don't do that. People that don't understand trolling on the internet gets more interaction are stupid. They are dumb people. That is the whole point. Is you want interaction, and
You're
that,
dumb.
I mean, as I just freaked out to the tears, like I get it, but like if you like, there's a reason which you've called me out on. There's a reason that I lean into the Tom Brady stuff because people are gonna get pissed, and that's gonna get interaction. Big Game Boomer is doing the same thing, and he's doing it really well.
He's an asshole. The worst.
he's not.
The leader of the cause list is Sean Tucker. His last tweet was Halloween. Another ACC win, Syracuse 21, BC 6. I'm pleased with my performance and with the outcome of the game. I had 26 attempts for 207 yards and a touchdown. With a much-needed bye week and 3 games left, I plan to finish strong. The guy's got 1,267 yards, 11 touchdowns. He has been incredible.
And his Twitter is incredible.
His Twitter's great.
His
Twitter is great.
It's just so funny to me.
He's second in the country in rushing yards behind Kenneth Walker. Kenneth Walker with 15 touchdowns. Kenneth Walker in the
Brees
actual
Hall?
Heisman list, but Sean Tucker is the because list champion right now.
Bijan Robinson fell, huh?
Yes, I don't know that he's all that. He hasn't been all that good. Texas has not been that good. Are they starting to get a little sticker shock? I mean, they got a 4-game losing streak.
They put out someone bet the stats that I think in the past like X years they've only hit their team total once.
Did
for
you
the
guys
over.
see the video today
Yeah, of the coach.
of Bo Davis,
Oh,
their
yes.
defensive line coach, cussing him on the bus?
Yes.
Oh wait, I
think she didn't.
I
well I
mean,
scrolled by that 2 minutes
Cussed
ago.
the shit out of him. It was a
Well-
good cussing. It was a good cussing.
Real. Some of you motherfuckers need to get in the transfer portal. You wanna go? Get in the motherfucker. This shit ain't
Get in
a
the
game to me.
motherfucker.
Get in the
If
motherfucker.
you think it's a game, get the fuck off of this bus.
Get the fuck off this
I
bus.
got my ass kicked. And you motherfuckers wanna laugh? It's fucking real.
Be honest, if I was defensive
You
line,
think it's a goddamn joke?
this offense only scored 7 points.
Right.
And
Be like,
some of you
suck.
motherfuckers do transfer out of this motherfucker. Cause I'm tired of this shit. This
That's
shit's
a coach.
goddamn
That's a
real.
coach.
And you
Yeah.
know what I?
And we wanna laugh and joke? Fuck that.
I might do that on this show one day.
You want to laugh and joke?
Yeah.
Fuck
Fuck that.
We should make that a T-shirt. Speaking of Mike Leach, one of my favorite Mike Leach rants of all time is that one where he basically says what the guy from Texas just said, but in a much calmer way when he was at Texas Tech.
Yeah.
And he's like, we went out and got beat by Texas fucking A&M. And it's just like when those coaches get into that, like that mindset, it's very funny. What I loved about the Texas rant, he sounded like he was going to cry the whole time. and like his voice was shaky. And Katie, you know, as like a girl when you're trying to make a point and your voice starts shaking, like you're toast at that point. That coach was motherfucking his way through it.
And Smitty's out.
Damn.
Oh.
Smitty's out of the World Series of Poker. He just busted.
Well, it's all on Mincy and the other guy.
People are not really I'm just like looking at all the replies. People are more like you guys have players leaking stuff. No wonder there are problems.
That I will say that is the bigger issue.
Yeah.
Now a video of coach ranting is getting out. He shouldn't have used that language with the players on the bus, but at some point, hold on. But at some point, the fact that a video like that got out reflect on how the team feels about the staff and staying stuff for year
All right,
one.
You can't have a coach motherfucking people now.
Oh, we got to be able to motherfuck people.
I mean, that's what we do here.
Let's see the slate. So
This is a first in a long time, but I'm going to go to the bathroom.
see you, Jack. Have fun. Enjoy
Proud of
yourself.
you.
Luck, Jack.
God bless.
Godspeed.
Have fun dropping the kids off at the pool.
Ew,
She's just going to pee.
I know.
Okay, let's talk about the slate, shall we?
Yes.
And this is only top 25s.
So this is the problem with college football to me this year. Like, where are the big games? Where are the big games? Where's the 3 versus 5? We had Michigan State, but that was fake.
Yes.
Where's the big games?
Yes, but there are sneaky games.
I don't want sneaky games. I want the fucking marquee.
No, but see, I understand the marquee games.
I don't want Ole Miss A&M. Give me Georgia Bama.
What about Oklahoma Baylor?
Oklahoma Baylor.
Baylor
is a
lost.
sneaky game.
Baylor blew it.
Yeah, but like, and when we're talking about it being a season of parity and being interesting, you mentioned this game earlier, Penn State, Michigan. No, Penn State's not ranked, but Michigan, like, could they fall? You look at I mean, I'm trying A&M, Ole Miss. I know
Functionally, there are fine games here, right?
Virginia's 6-3. Could they beat Notre Dame? Like
We're talking about Virginia now.
We don't. Well,
I promised myself if we ever got to the point where we're talking Virginia on this podcast, I'd get up and quit.
Virginia.
I'd quit.
we talk about Brennan Armstrong.
Yeah.
I'd quit. I'm gonna quit.
Oklahoma
even be
State,
playing.
TCU.
You get serious. What are we doing?
I have a shit-eating grin on my face. No, there are not any marquee games this weekend. Wake Forest,
I mean,
NC State.
I think not marquee, but I think A&M, Ole Miss,
Yes.
Mississippi State, Auburn.
Yes.
A&M's going to
Oklahoma,
beat the
Baylor.
piss out of Ole Miss. Ole Miss is a pretender. Georgia, Tennessee's interesting in that Georgia's facing the best offense they will have faced this year, and Tennessee's going to be lit. We saw that when we went there. They'll be more lit this week. Tennessee's 5-4. Josh Heupel's doing a hell of a job, and Georgia is Georgia. So, will they finally look Will they finally look human, or will they just win by 30 again?
And then you've got, like I said, Michigan State, Penn State, Oregon, Washington State.
I think Michigan's going to beat Penn State. I do believe that. I think Oklahoma will beat Baylor. I think Auburn will beat Mississippi State in a heartbreaking fashion because that's my life. I think Virginia's going to beat Notre Dame. I think Virginia's going to beat Notre Dame.
If Brennan Armstrong plays, yeah.
He might not.
He's supposedly day-to-day.
What are you doing?
Because he broke his ribs.
What?
She's going to call you a hypocrite.
I just brought up Notre Dame, Virginia as a game that's important, and you poo-pooed me, and then now you're saying you think Virginia's going to upset Notre Dame?
I don't remember that. I don't believe that happened.
No.
I think Virginia's going to beat Notre Dame.
You said you were going to quit if we start talking about Virginia. If Virginia upsets Notre Dame, I mean, Cincinnati's playoff resume looks real shit.
I don't know. What's the difference? What's the difference? Like,
Who's Cincinnati's marquee win?
It's Notre Dame, but people aren't respecting Notre Dame anyway right now for Cincinnati. Like, what's the difference if Notre Dame finishes 10-2 or 11-1 for Cincinnati?
If they lose to an unranked team, it is a bigger deal.
I think the bigger
Virginia
issue,
would be ranked as soon as they beat Notre Dame. So
right, but I'm saying like the I cannot believe that we're having this conversation. You just said you didn't want to talk about Virginia, but then you're picking them to upset Notre Dame.
I don't think Notre Dame's very good.
the bigger issue for Cincinnati is not Notre Dame, is that they're struggling versus teams that aren't even
That
500.
is the bigger issue. That is
Yes,
correct.
they are struggling against teams they should be bearing, and if their marquee game, their marquee win is Notre Dame, and they lose again, it does hurt their resume.
Yeah,
This is a fact.
Yeah, it does, but nobody's respecting their resume right now. So really, what's it fucking
They
matter?
definitely won't if Notre Dame loses to Virginia.
There's nothing to respect there, really, besides kind of Notre Dame.
I mean, they did walk into South Bend and win. That should
It is
show
huge,
some
but
way.
it's one thing.
Cincinnati has a better win than fucking Michigan's got, and Michigan isn't getting questioned. That's the truth.
Because-
Power 5 group
That's
of
the
five.
truth.
But it's Power 5
But
versus
Michigan
Power
hasn't
5.
beaten it. But Michigan hasn't done shit.
But
But
Who's
they're
Ohio
playing,
State beaten?
They're playing like 4 or 5-star players.
Ohio
you
State
can
beaten?
see.
Oh, Ohio State doesn't have a win yet either.
But that's the point, is that they're playing in a Power
I'm just
5
saying, if
conference.
Cincinnati is being ranked based on their win, and they don't, and Cincinnati has a better win than Michigan.
Yes.
Cincinnati has a better win than Ohio State. That's correct.
But day in, day
Cincinnati
out.
has a better win than Alabama's got.
Day in and day out.
They're not
Michigan
playing
and Alabama are playing pound for pound better teams.
way better. Also, Jack, you just missed an all-time Brandon Walker moment.
This is not a big. Can you not pick up what's going down here? Okay. What? Also, Purdue, Ohio State. Purdue's beaten 2 top 5 teams. They play another one this week. Is that not interesting to you?
Well, of course, it's interesting to me.
Their
But I was
record-
waiting for
Then why are you
to-
looking blank-faced
Why'd
at
you
me?
put New Mexico, Fresno State on there?
Why did you put New
I
Mexico,
literally
Fresno
took
State?
a screenshot of all the ranked matchups.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's ranked.
Why are you hollering at him?
I'm chilling. I already said it. I said it earlier.
Can't be chilling and yell.
Jesus Christ,
Oh my God.
we're all yelling at
It's
each
hot in here.
The record's so Purdue.
Jack just took a dump. I mean, there's a lot of stress. The stress levels are
Purdue
crazy.
has beat 17 top 5 ranked teams and they're unranked. Do you think like they could probably be ranked?
If they
this
beat
evening?
Ohio State, yeah.
No. This evening they could be ranked.
Oh yeah,
Purdue.
they could be ranked tonight.
So-
Purdue could be ranked, and Penn State will be ranked tonight too.
Yes, it will be.
Oh yeah, for Michigan, the Michigan Penn State game, Michigan needs Blake Corum, and he's not a shoe in to play.
I had to show you how stupid we are about our teams. A Penn State fan today was saying I underrate them because if Sean Clifford had been fully healthy, they would have beaten Illinois. I'm like, buddy, if you are making excuses about losing to Illinois at home, you're making the argument against your team yourself.
That's why college football fans are the best.
The
We're
worst
so,
too.
We're so delusional. We are. We're just so delusional.
I don't know. I don't
Notre
see
Dame,
much.
Virginia should be decent.
Oh,
Virginia can beat Notre Dame. This is a huge game.
Jack, you walked right into this. Thank you for doing that. I brought that up, and he said, "Are we really getting to the point where we're talking about Virginia? If we talk about Virginia, I'm quitting this podcast." And then
Why?
proceeded to say, "Virginia's going to beat Notre Dame."
Virginia is going to beat Notre Dame. Unless they don't. I
Well,
don't
Brennan
know.
Armstrong may not play.
If he doesn't play, that's a wrap.
I love that whenever somebody leaves and they come back, we just walk the
Well,
same
Brandon didn't
conversation
believe
back
me.
around.
He was like, "Wait, what?" So
It's not that I
no,
didn't
you
believe you. I
me,
just
you
hadn't
didn't
heard
know.
it.
Fair, yeah. He supposedly broke 2 ribs versus BYU. They had a week off. And
That was stupid. He shouldn't have done that.
Oh, breaking ribs hurts
I mean,
so bad.
didn't they pop Calzada's arm back in also last week?
Arm and ribs are different.
Yes.
Different animals.
But it's one thing. Like,
Can't breathe.
Yeah, but
with
some
them.
people have shoulders that just
Pop can just pop.
They
I just
can
can't.
pop
I have
out.
one of them.
It's just one of those things that when you see,
Yeah,
a,
it's out right now.
The video was him running away from the trainers as they were chasing him to pop it back in. I'm just like that. Ugh. Like I'm good with injury
What was
and
the
like.
noise?
Ugh. Just,
One more time,
no,
please.
no. Ugh.
Broken ribs.
Heebie-jeebies.
No good.
Yeah, they stink. All right.
I couldn't even breathe when I
So,
broke
guys,
ribs.
I'd rather watch a deck.
podcast isn't over. Let's go ahead and talk about the rankings tonight. Let's set up bam, bam, bam through the magic of television and all that.
But first,
Yes?
Brandon, I noticed you're drinking my favorite flavor of Revitalight, the
Yeah,
orange
some
flavor.
pieces of shit here drank all the strawberry, but the orange is good too.
The orange is good. We love a good Revitalight. They're some of our best friends around here because no matter if
That really is fucking good.
it is so good. You know what it tastes like, that the old school like Tang, but like
Yeah.
a healthier version of it.
Has no aftertaste like Tang.
No, like I love the orange flavor, and of course you've got the strawberry, you've got the grape, and then we have the Barstool Black Label, which is a blue flavor. And everybody at the office loves it, no matter if you're like Brianna Chicken Fry, who just is hungover perpetually, she
Right.
loves it, or if you're like somebody who, like Billy Football, who works out all the time,
Or me.
or you work out all the time, because it's the best way to replenish your zinc and your electrolytes, and hydrate you, and it also just tastes really good.
What were you saying to me today? You were looking at me and saying, you look like you need to replenish your zinc.
Well, technically,
And I
everybody
said,
does.
how do you know that?
Because your face smashed your food.
Damn.
But Revitalight can help you do that.
The look that he gave you, Katie, was so good. No, we love Revitalight. We all know that Barstool we're the number 1 Revitalight fan on the planet. Right now, if you go to the Barstool Store, you can get the Revitalight Black Label. You can tag us at Drink Revitalight in your morning after stories, maybe, or after your workout.
Sure.
The best part to me, and I've said this a million times, I'm going to say it again, I don't have to creep on the baby aisle. That's
The best part to me is the taste.
Well, it's
delicious.
Yes, but like I can go to a liquor store, a convenience store, and go online and get it. I'm not standing next to diapers hungover and being like, I don't know what to do. So anyways, Revitalight. We love it. Brandon's drinking it right now. I'm going to go grab one because it is Comedy Fest in New York, which I will be attending at some point.
What do you know about funny?
Damn, what a callback that was.
Like a year ago.
All right, so the playoff committee's rankings are out for week 2. We now know exactly who the top 4 is. I guess this week, that's not really the interesting part. The interesting part happened behind the top 4. Kayce, your first thoughts?
My first thoughts about the entire thing, and I don't know why I finally snapped on it tonight. This unveiling stuff is so fucking stupid.
It really is. For the first one, I think I can buy it. I can get with it. Like last week, I could do with an unveiling. Tonight, it was just a lot. They made us sit through a 5-minute commercial between the basketball game and the unveil.
Like, they're not even in studio. Like, they brought the college game day crew, love Kirk, we always say that, big fans of Kirk Herbstreit, to Madison Square Garden and had us, like, acting like they're unveiling, like, the Super Bowl matchup that we didn't know was going to happen. And it's just, like, the first one, fine, I can deal with. And obviously the last one, fine. Everything in between, just, like, put out a press release or something. Like, we had to wait until 9:30 for that. And then when they start getting to the top 10 and they went literally one by one, I was sitting there wanting to like scratch my eyeballs out. That's my biggest takeaway.
Also, Joey Galloway and David Pollack are tired of each other's shit.
Oh, they are so tired of each other's shit. And like Kirk started getting a little chirpy too at one point. Like when he was talking, when they were arguing about Michigan State, and which I know we'll get to, and then A&M and Alabama, like Kirk kind of like threw a little shade too. I was like, oh, they're all so tired of each other, which we can understand.
Yeah, certainly. So I guess let's just talk about the top 4 because that was the easiest thing to predict. Everybody basically around there just slid up when Michigan State slid out. You've got number 1 Georgia, number 1 with a bullet. Alabama could have faced some competition for their weak performance last week if the other teams hadn't been bad. But since Ohio State wasn't great, Cincinnati wasn't great, there was no real competition. So it's 1 Georgia, 2 Alabama, 3 Oregon, 4 Ohio State. And I think that's exactly what everybody thought.
I mean, I think quite literally earlier in this podcast, when we recorded this afternoon, we both said that. So, I mean, there was no surprise there, but I assume it was Jack or Katie tweeted that you knew there was going to be quote drama whenever instead of doing the 6 top spots on the graphic, that they did 7, which I don't remember them doing in the past. So I knew that they were going to try to make it dramatic between Michigan and Michigan State. But I mean, the top 5 to me was a lock. I knew Cincinnati was going to move up because Michigan State lost last week. And then after that, it was kind of like, all right, let's see what happens. And they dragged that shit out forever too.
Is everybody ready to come around on my take that I had last week that nobody agreed with, that Cincinnati has a path and very, 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 very possibly, and I think probably is going to make the playoff?
They could possibly. I don't think it's probably.
I think it's probably at this point. Like I look ahead of them, there's some shaky ass teams. They're 1 spot out. You got Oklahoma behind them that can make some noise, but I don't think like Michigan's right behind them, Michigan State. I think both those teams are going to lose again. I think Cincinnati is in an incredible spot.
They're obviously number 5. I mean, they're the next team in, and those teams have to play each other. I mean, Alabama and Georgia probably have to play each other. The only thing is that I think last week still did show the way that they feel about Cincinnati by putting them at 6. They could have easily put them at 5, which means they would have slid in.
But 6 wasn't that bad of a spot last week. Here's the thing. If you look at the top 7, okay, forget about Georgia. They're safe. They're fine. They're whatever. I laid it out earlier today. I don't know if it's on my show or our show, whatever it was. So Cincinnati at 5, okay? Number 2 has a very difficult road game left at Auburn. Number 3 has a very difficult road game left at Utah. Number 4 has a very difficult road game left at Michigan. Number 6, Michigan State has a very difficult road game at Ohio State. And number 7, Michigan has a very difficult road game at Penn State. Like everybody around them has a lot of meat left on the bone. Cincy doesn't.
But then you mentioned this, which I was actually a little bit surprised. I mean, I guess not really because Michigan and Michigan State have 1 loss too, but I mean, Oklahoma, if they continue to win, they will jump. Like they haven't lost yet.
Of course they'll jump. Yeah, but I think there'll be enough spots. Like there's going to be spots for them up there.
Listen, and I know everyone that's listening to this is like, oh my God, the only thing that I even slightly enjoyed other than watching Joey and
Pollack
Pollock hate each other tonight, was that they did have a discussion about A&M winning the West and being in Atlanta.
I think that's incredibly possible. I don't think Alabama's going to win at Auburn. And then even if you get even further back, we're about to talk Michigan State. But guess who's just kind of hanging out there and nobody's talking about them?
Notre Dame?
They're just chilling at 9. And if you look at Notre Dame and you look at Michigan, you really have to work to tell me Michigan deserves to be ahead of Notre Dame, because Michigan's best win is Wisconsin. Notre Dame's best win is Wisconsin. Notre Dame lost to Cincinnati. Michigan lost to Michigan State. Like, their resumes are very similar, and it's just assumed that Notre Dame is not good. I don't know why we make that assumption. They're just sitting there.
I agree. Their resumes are very similar, like you just played out. And I know that I think you and I disagree on this, but I really do think that the committee, because they're not just a computer, I think they take into consideration that they're not in a conference, that they don't have to play a power.
I don't think that at all. I disagree with that.
I know we disagree with that, but it does feel, I mean, because what's the other reasoning?
I think the reasoning is like there was an assumed weakness about Notre Dame, kind of the way they lost. And there's just this mass movement that Notre Dame isn't all that good, even though their results are pretty fucking good. Like, they're right there. What's wrong with them?
That's what I'm saying is like, and maybe, I know we never will truly know unless we're sitting in that committee room, which another dramatic thing, like, we don't need to see it like it's the fucking White House. But I think that there is that maybe not punishment for them not being in a conference, but I do think that comes into play because, like, well, they don't play a conference schedule week in and week out like Michigan does, like Michigan State does, and they still have one loss. Now, this is your argument that I love you, that I hate the most. I think this argument's crazy. I think this is wild. Like, no, Michigan State, there's nothing special about their conference schedule so far. I'm saying that just being in a Power 5 conference does matter.
I don't think it does. Not to Notre Dame. I think Notre Dame is I think Notre Dame is treated differently.
If being in a Power 5 conference wasn't treated differently, Cincinnati would have been in the top 4 last week. They're undefeated.
Cincinnati's different. Cincinnati's in the AAC, which is looked at as a weaker conference. Notre Dame plays their own schedule. Like, they played North Carolina, they played Virginia Tech, they played USC, which none of these teams are great, but I'm just saying that they're playing teams that are respectable. They're not playing a Cincinnati schedule.
I'm not saying that should be taken into consideration. I'm saying I think that it is.
I disagree. Fine, doesn't matter. Michigan State played 10 days ago.
Yes, we were there.
Michigan State won the football game.
They did do that, yes.
Michigan is 8-1. Yes. Michigan State is 8-1. Oregon and Ohio State played in week 2. Oregon and Ohio State both have one loss. Oregon's loss is a much, 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 much worse loss than Ohio State, but Oregon is ahead of Ohio State because they beat them. So why isn't Michigan State ahead of Michigan?
Well, did you listen to, what's the commissioner's name? Barta? What's his
name? Whatever his name is.
Did you listen to his reasoning? Which I was
he said they're a more complete team. What does that mean? What does that mean?
He said what Jack and I were trying to say last week or whatever it was like that they just think Michigan is a better team overall, even though they lost. But having those back-to-back is what the issue is. Like, you can't use the logic that you think Michigan, even though they just lost to Michigan State, is a better team because of what happened this week, but then you have Oregon over Ohio State. You have to have one or the other. You either have to jump Ohio State over Oregon or you have to have Michigan State ahead of Michigan. I still agree that Michigan should be ranked higher. I know you think they're going to lose.
Why in the world would you think Michigan should be ranked? Do you just think Michigan's better?
I said earlier in this podcast that I don't think they're going to lose and that they're going to go into the Ohio State.
Yeah, but wait. So as of right now, you just think Michigan is better. That is your opinion.
I think that they are a better team, yes. And if they played 10 times out of 10 with Michigan State, that they would win the majority.
But it is a fact they played once and Michigan State won.
I'm not saying that they should be ranked higher because I think it's hypocritical. I'm saying I think they are a better team.
There's no reason to think that, though.
I think, the fucking commissioner of the college football playoff committee just said the same
thing.
But
it's his opinion too. It's their opinion. Like, this is why don't games matter? Like, if they matter for Ohio State and Oregon, why don't they matter for Michigan State, Michigan? Why are we playing the games if they don't matter?
I'm with you. I'm saying it's hypocritical. They've got to do one or the other. Literally in the top 7, they were hypocrites.
I just don't understand, because I know you think this, and I know Jack still thinks it. I see him back there. He's barely talking. Jack still thinks Michigan's better. You think Michigan's better, and I just don't understand in a world where you can come to that conclusion.
The committee thinks it too. I don't. This argument is so overplayed because we're going to see what happens, and obviously, like I said, they just contradicted themselves. So putting Oregon above Ohio State and then Michigan above Michigan State does not make any sense. We can all agree on that. The head-to-head matchups, which is when Kurt came in and was like, "Oh, well, A&M beat Alabama," and it's like, well, that's not the same argument because A&M has 2 losses to 2 teams that don't matter. So I still think that
they don't matter.
Well, they matter.
Yeah, they matter.
But you know what I mean.
All teams matter.
But you know what I mean.
All teams matter. Mm-hmm.
They matter to you.
I matter.
You do matter. They matter to you. But in the playoff scenario, they do not matter.
Well, we're going to see. I still think Oklahoma State's underrated at number 10. You know what's crazy about opinion and all that? Like, I think Texas A&M, what are they, 11? 11. I think they're a better football team than Michigan. I think they're a better football team than Michigan State. I think they're a better football team than Notre Dame. I think they're a better football team than Cincinnati. And they ultimately screwed themselves. But I think A&M's like really good. Anyway, the story tonight is going to be the Michigan State. Now, what we did last week was freaked out when Cincinnati was at 6. We've already seen that doesn't matter. It'll work out if it needs to work out. For Michigan State, I don't know that we need to waste a whole lot of time here because I think Penn State and Ohio State are going to take care of this argument. I think Michigan State loses twice to Penn State and Ohio State, and I think Michigan, frankly, loses twice to Penn State and Ohio State.
Yeah, which is why I said we don't need to hash the argument all out again. Your opinion, I saw that you tweeted you think they're both going to lose twice again. I think that Michigan will go into their game against Ohio State in Ann Arbor with the 1 loss to Michigan State, and we'll see who's going to go to Indianapolis for the Big Ten championship. Again, all opinion, but like we've said all along, like we will see. I think that my question, if I was to ask the committee, why contradict yourself within just those rankings? Like, why not just say, because then these questions don't necessarily happen. If you put
that's a great point. Like, what are they gaining by putting Michigan ahead of Michigan State?
Right. Or not putting Ohio State over Oregon. Like, they're not gaining anything other than, I guess, people having conversations like we are. But it's like, if you're trying to tell us that you think Michigan is a more complete team, a better team than Michigan State, there's not many people on the planet other than maybe Oregon fans that would say that they think Oregon is a better team than Ohio State at this point. So it's like, what are they gaining from contradicting themselves within
I don't know. I don't know who's better at this point, Oregon or Ohio State. I would say, I mean, 6 of one, half dozen of the other. It's not like Ohio State's been all that impressive lately. We'll see. That'll all shake out, though. Oregon's fine. Ohio State's fine.
But how could Oregon be better or Ohio State be better than Oregon?
I don't think you can say that.
Okay, yeah, you can't. Like,
well, I didn't.
Your definition, you can't.
I didn't.
Okay, no, I'm just saying, like,
that was her. She said that.
No, I do. I think
there's not even a question with you. Like, there's no point of like even saying it. We know they're better.
Who? Oregon.
Yeah, than Ohio State. We know.
Oregon won the game.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We know that.
Right, but Michigan State beat Michigan, and it's not working that way.
He's saying that you can't make an argument for Ohio State.
Yeah, you can't say Ohio State's better than Oregon.
Oh, because of my Michigan thing?
Yep.
Yes. He's being sarcastic.
One team lost by 3 or 4 on the road. The other team lost by 14 or 14 at home.
Who lost by 14 at home?
Yes.
Ohio State.
No, they didn't. They lost 35-28. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
They were favored by 14 at home.
Oregon and Ohio State are right where they are. I think Michigan State and Michigan are wrong. I don't know who's better than Michigan or Michigan State. But I do know that they played, and I do know that if everything else is equal, why are we playing? We're playing to decide who's having the better. We're just playing to decide who's better.
I do agree. I guess what the argument could technically be, which is dumb, don't get me wrong, which is dumb, is that like technically Michigan's loss is better than Michigan State's loss, even though it is to Michigan State.
Well, I guess that's what you can say with Ohio State too, although Michigan State doesn't have a bad loss. Purdue is now ranked. Michigan has the loss to Michigan State. Oregon has a really, really, really shitty loss. I mean, an awful loss. So
that's why I'm using this word like a million times, but that's why the contradiction does not make sense. You have to.
You two are still mad that I disagree with you because I know Michigan State's better than Michigan. You still think Michigan's better than Michigan State.
Yeah, I don't know why we're having this argument again. Like,
no, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to him.
Oh.
No, well, you think Ohio State's better than Oregon, right? You do.
No, I don't think they should be ranked over them.
No, you do think they're better than them.
Do I think they're a better football team?
Yeah.
I guess I do, but I don't think they should be ranked over them.
Okay, but yeah, so we still think that Michigan's a better team than Michigan State.
Do you think they should be ranked over them?
Honestly, I don't think it matters, but
I don't think it does either.
like,
It does.
I think they probably put them over them just for like dramatics.
I mean, guess what? We're arguing about it it would be actually, I almost wish that they were so vanilla that they did put Michigan State ahead of Michigan so that like, it was like, we waited all this time for this because there was just no drama around it, but it isn't going to matter. Like it's all going to play out. And that's why I like it's just the dramatics around it are fine, whatever. Oklahoma is sitting there at 8. They have an opportunity to start jumping. Alabama, if you think they're going to lose to Auburn, obviously. And it, again, I know a few weeks ago, it was like, oh, that's a crazy thought. Like A&M is still lurking around to be in Atlanta. Now, do I think they beat Georgia? Probably not, but there's still so much football to be played. There's going to be.
I think doomsday is very possible this year for the first time in a very long time. Outside of Georgia, I think you could see you might not have 4-1. If Georgia finishes undefeated, you might not have 3 other one-loss teams. You might not have it. It might not exist. There might need to be a 2-loss team in there. Like Oklahoma, I feel pretty good. They get there with 1 loss or less. So Cincinnati too. I could see anybody else up there losing again.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, and again, we talk about Oregon and Ohio State. Like if Ohio State goes to the Big Ten championship and loses to Wisconsin or whoever they meet, like it's just we talked about it earlier in the podcast. If people are listening to this, like there have been multiple hours in between these conversations. I promise, a lot of hours. But that's why I think this season is so fun, is because of the parity. We just don't know. We think we know. ESPN thinks that they know today. That's going to change next Tuesday at fucking 10 o'clock p.m. when they decide to do their wedding unveiling again.
All right. Katie's got something. Hi, Katie.
Hi, Katie.
For the Cincinnati, did you just say that Cincinnati could make it in as a 1-loss team?
No, I did not.
It sounded like you were like, we're going to see like Oklahoma will make it as a 1-loss, Cincinnati
what I said was, if I'm looking at it, I think there's going to be a preponderance of 2-loss teams. And if I'm looking, I don't think Cincinnati's going to lose twice. If they lose once, they're out. But
okay, I just wanted to.
I was just arranging teams on the premise of who's going to lose twice, who can lose once, who can do that. Like I don't see Oklahoma getting beat twice coming down the stretch. Could it happen once? Yeah. And I don't see Cincinnati getting beat twice coming down the stretch. But everybody else, like, could I see Alabama catching a second loss? Yes. Ohio State, it's a stretch. Oregon, definitely yes. Michigan, yes. Michigan State, yes. Notre Dame, yes. Like, just yeses across the board for the rest of the top 10.
And with Oklahoma, too, you have to assume that whoever they lose to, unless it's Iowa State, they would play again in the Big 12 championship. And you're right. Like, I don't see them losing to the same team twice.
All right. Jack, you seem upset.
We're all a little tense today.
I'm not upset.
You just seem upset. I just want you to be okay.
I'm not upset at anybody.
Michigan State should be ahead of Michigan. Anyway, all right. So, anything else?
No.
Your beard and hair looks nice.
Thank you.
You do. You look very nice.
That's
for
nice.
For it being 10 p.m. with 4 children and then like a whole household of noise and mess, you look really well put together.
That was just too many. That sentence went on too long. You could have just stopped.
I know I could have. I was trying to think of how many dogs you had, but I couldn't remember.
I have 1 dog.
Sam.
And 1 cat and 1 fat squirrel.
Okay.
The cat's outside and the squirrel I haven't seen yet. Although, hey, I don't want to celebrate or anything, but anniversary's coming up.
Is it?
November 15th, baby.
No, stop that. Ew.
What?
What,
What?
Katie?
What are you talking about, Katie?
What are you talking about? He's talking about the fat squirrel. He's not talking
I'm
about
calling anybody here, baby. I'm saying November 15th, baby. What's wrong with her? What does she think I said?
I don't know.
I thought you meant it's your wedding anniversary, so you're gonna celebrate it by making another kid.
It's late. I'm gonna go.
All right, that's Kayce, Katie, and Jack. I'm Brandon Walker, and that is Unnecessary Roughness.